Hey class, happy Monday. Welcome to week 7. So 2 weeks left in the class. This week you will be focused on refining your final research proposal that you will submit next week, Thursday. So that would be April 27th. So a couple of overview reminders about where we're heading. You noticed I sent an announcement a couple days ago extending the due dates for homework number 3, which is due tonight by midnight, and then your final research proposal that will be due Thursday, April 27. So the idea is just to give you a little bit more time to feel confident that your proposal looks the way you want it to before submitting it. But do make sure to get it in by April 27 because I have a pretty quick turnaround before I have to submit your final grades. So April 27, you'll submit your final proposal. So I noticed that some of you are still taking a little extra time to submit homework number 3. Totally good, and it's okay. Remember to get that in by tonight at midnight Pacific time, and then I look forward to reading that and trying to give you quicker feedback this week. I'd like to give that feedback to you by Thursday, no later than Thursday, so that then you have a full week to make edits, to jump on a call with me if you need to, or just to have me clarify anything that's unclear so that you feel comfortable and confident going into the submission of your final research proposal. So the homework for this week, you have 2 assignments. They're smaller and more brief than the hard work you've been putting in for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So of course we have a quiz that will be due on Sunday. Simple quiz, I think 10 questions. Get to that anytime this week. It covers chapter 9. And the more important assignment will be reflection number 2. This will have you go a little bit deeper on this idea of quantitative statistical analysis. And specifically, I'm going to have you comment on 3 different ways we make sense of numeric statistical data. So this idea of a p-value or a probability value, I'll have you explore, and you get to basically write definitions of each of these 3 terms: p-value, confidence interval, and effect size. Those are just 3 different ways of trying to comment on the significance of the data that you collected in your quantitative project. So go back in chapter 8 to review concepts about quantitative data analysis. Obviously review the reflection number 2 assignment guidelines, and then you're going to make a post explaining those 3 terms. And I recommend, you don't have to do it this way, but I would recommend trying to incorporate parts of your research proposal or just your idea, your research question and your research project. Try to connect concepts from your project into those definitions. Even, for example, even if you're not going to test a hypothesis, you might be doing a survey type study, a quantitative survey, but still try to imagine how could you form a hypothesis using your study variables, and then how would you test that hypothesis, and then based on a p-value that you got from a test statistic, what would that mean? How would you use the p-value to explain your results and whether or not they were significant? So hopefully you see, anytime you can use your own specific variables or your own specific study as you explain those definitions, that would be nice. Again, you don't have to, but what you do have to do is explain those 3 concepts, when you might use each type of concept to explain your statistical results, and then you'll respond to a couple classmates as well. So that's reflection 2, designed to get you to explore a little more deeply statistical analysis and making sense of your numeric data. So I'm here as needed if I can help explain any of the instructions related to that assignment. And also a couple of hints. I think in chapter 8, pages 158, 159, and then page 173. Those are 2 sections of chapter 8 that briefly explain the different concepts that you'll be writing on in this Reflection 2 homework assignment. So look back to Chapter 8 and review some of those terms, and then that will give you a good idea of how to approach Reflection number 2. And then finally, I would say, please reach out as you're making edits. Remember, to your final research proposal. This is the big project. It's the culminating capstone assignment in the course. And I would remind you, each of you is doing really well. There are a lot of A's and B's in the class. So I appreciate the good work. I'm confident that each of you can earn a high grade in the class. So if there's anything that I can clarify to make you feel a little bit more confident yourself, please reach out through email or a phone call, and I'm happy to guide you through it. You'll notice in a lot of my feedback on your methods draft from last week, I asked you to clarify your specific variables, and so pay attention to that. I know that kind of separates the high A maybe from the low A. It's a next level sort of request. I realize that, but what I'm trying to have you do is think clearly about narrowing your variables so that you're very clear on what your independent and dependent variables are. Because whether or not you continue with this study and actually collect data, the process of clarifying your variables and will help you clarify your thinking. And then once you have those variables specifically defined, the rest of the methods section becomes a lot easier to write. And remember, the process for actually clarifying the variables often begins with going back to your literature review and trying to focus on that problem that you said emerged from the previous discussion and the research, and then this idea of a problem that you're actually going to investigate through a research question will emerge. Okay, so I'm happy to help and chat through that. But if you got that comment from me in your methods section saying, please clarify your dependent variable or independent variable, I'm simply saying right now your research question and your variables are just too general or just too vague. And so you'll need to, we say, operationalize it. So for example, instead of saying the impact of concussion or whatever your independent variable is, the impact of something on performance, if performance is your dependent variable, hopefully you can see that's too general, it's too vague. How are you going to collect data on performance? So that narrowing this dependent variable of performance down into more specific elements of something you can actually measure, this is what I'm talking about. So I thought that was worth commenting on, since a few of you, or more than a few of you, got similar feedback from me on the methods section. So again, I'm happy to help clarify that even more if I need to. And overall, your methods sections looked very good, so I'm pleased with it. You should feel comfortable, and you are very ready to finish strong in this class. So I'll get feedback to you by Thursday, and then let's have one-on-ones as we need to get you ready to submit your final research proposal on Thursday the 27th. Okay? Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Take care.